I got this comment on one of my videos recently, and it set off a chain reaction of abstract philosophical thoughts. What is aesthetic appeal in art? And what do we consider beautiful? Big question, I know, but it got me thinking, why is it so hard to answer? If someone asked, what is beauty, most of us would stutter, maybe throw out a cliche, and hope the conversation moves on. Yet somehow, deep down, we all know what beauty is. We can't always explain it, but we recognize it when we see it, like an unspoken truth. Now, this internal knowledge of what beauty is reminds me of something. Plato. Big name drop. Yes, but bear with me. Plato believed beauty wasn't something you just feel or perceive. No, he took it way further. He claimed we all knew what beauty was before we were even born. He called it the eidos of beauty, the perfect, ideal version of beauty itself. According to him, every time we see something beautiful, we're just recognizing a tiny fragment of that ultimate, divine ideal. Wild, right? What's even wilder is the implication. If Plato's right, beauty is absolute. It doesn't depend on who is looking at it. A flower isn't beautiful because you think it's pretty, it's beautiful because it reflects a universal truth. Period. But here's the thing. Does that really hold up? Is beauty truly objective? Something that exists out there with its own cosmic checklist? Or is it completely subjective, shaped by personal experiences, culture, and the way we individually see the world? These questions are exactly what we're diving into today. In this essay, we'll explore aesthetics, a theory of beauty. The concept of beauty has always mirrored the ideals of its time. Take, for example, the ancient Greeks and their obsession with cosmos and the true nature of things. For them, beauty was the portrayal of the order, harmony, structure observed in the universe into everything they themselves create. Beauty was equal to a math problem to be solved. Take their architecture, like the Parthenon, with its perfectly calculated proportions, symmetry, and balance. Or take a look at the Middle Ages, where everything beautiful was considered a reflection of the divine. In the Gothic architecture of the time, for instance, those towering cathedrals with their pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and impossibly intricate stained glass, everything in Gothic design draws your eyes upward. From the Greeks to the Middle Ages, to Renaissance and Enlightenment, to Romanticism and Realism, Impressionism and on through modern times, our definition of beauty has shifted alongside cultural, philosophical, and scientific changes. Beauty has always reflected the changing lens through which we see the world. As our understanding of the world evolves, so does the concept of beauty. From depictions of gods to a god, from the perfect human form to everyday human life, and from raw emotion to fleeting impressions, it has always been about what aspects of the world we romanticize, and why. By the time we get to the modern era, beauty becomes even more fragmented, with movements like modernism, surrealism, and abstract expressionism. Beauty was no longer about structure, divinity, or even emotion. It became about breaking the rules entirely. Artists like Picasso and Duchamp asked, does beauty even matter anymore? Duchamp's fountain, yes, the urinal, challenged the entire concept of what we consider beautiful, by forcing us to question the line between art and object. Beauty became subjective, personal, and even intentionally ugly, designed to provoke thought rather than admiration. Beauty became an afterthought. Now you'll ask, what do we mean when we say, this artwork must be beautiful? Or in our case, this raw and unpolished film should also be beautiful. Question of the century, my friends, literally.
Merry Christmas.
If you believe that beauty is this objective absolute truth-like thing, then your job as a filmmaker is fairly clear. You take inspiration from history, from nature, from math, from human psychology. You follow the playbook of Kubrick with his symmetrical forms, or from Wes Anderson with his perfect color play. You try to be tasteful. And if your belief is correct, then you'll instinctively know if what you have created is beautiful, and it will inevitably be appreciated by those who view it. And if this is your belief, then you can say that it is backed by modern science and psychology that have added new dimensions to our understanding of beauty. Cognitive psychology suggests that beauty arises from familiarity and ease of processing. Research on processing fluency indicates that humans are drawn to patterns, symmetry, balance, and proportion because they're easier for the brain to comprehend. If, however, like the rest of us, you believe that beauty is something that comes from culture, subjective experiences, beliefs and ideas about the world, social constructs, and that which becomes more and more common to the eye, then hear me out. Cognitive psychology suggests that beauty arises from familiarity and ease of processing. Familiarity and ease of processing. Familiarity.
Jesus Christ.
It's the 1800s. French academia is thriving, full of technically refined paintings. Edouard Manet comes in holding his painting The Bath, or maybe Olympia. I don't remember. Academic painters are in shock. This is unheard of. This is a scandal. How can this be considered a work of art? The flatness of the painting, the sketch-like manner in which he handled the work. What about the underlying message? He painted a prostitute? They kick him out for painting something so unfamiliar. Impressionists at the time, before the final capitulation of realism, had to organize their own underground art exhibitions. The unfamiliar subject of artworks, the unusual techniques used raise so many questions about the aesthetic appeal of those paintings. If this is art, then where's the beauty in it? Or take a look at early jazz. At its beginnings, jazz was considered chaotic and unsophisticated, due to its unfamiliar rhythm and improvisational style. Yet those very qualities soon became recognized as hallmarks of musical genius, showcasing a bold new approach to melody and harmony. Somehow, historically, we tend to appreciate the works of art and the beauty of that art with a little delay. Our responses and acceptance of novelty and aesthetic experiences always lag. The point I am trying to make is that it lags because it is unfamiliar. Over time, our brains get used to seeing previously unfamiliar things put together. Let's say looking at nature, our eyes are used to seeing the green with the blue yellow with the blue with the red. We think these combinations are absolute, just because we are used to seeing them in nature. Similarly with proportion and symmetry that we see in nature. And because they are so familiar to us, we inevitably call them tasteful, hence beautiful. But what if beauty isn't just discovered from our observations of the objective world, but also created through unusual combinations? As an artist, your job is to challenge traditional aesthetics and push audiences to form new neural pathways to recognize beauty in the unconventional. Yes, at first, maybe people will call your work raw and ugly, but if you do it right and put enough boldness and thought into it, eventually the work you create might make us reconsider the predominant ideals of beauty. Take, for example, directors like David Lynch that push the boundaries of beauty by creating unsettling, surreal aesthetics. Lynch's Eraserhead finds a haunting beauty in industrial decay and dissonant soundscapes. Similarly, for instance, The Favorite with its warped fisheye shots and natural light turn a historical drama into something strange and striking. Or Dogville with its chalk outlines instead of sets, stripping everything down to raw emotion. Then there's Enter the Void, with its hypnotic POV shots and chaotic, trippy visuals. Or the films suggested by our famous comment, Wong Kar-wai's Chungking Express and Fallen Angels, are low-budget and rough yet stunning, capturing loneliness through neon-lit streets and jittery, dreamlike storytelling. Only through experimentation can we create new neural pathways that allow us to recognize beauty in ways we never have before. Yes, it is much easier to follow set criteria of beauty and copy from historical combos of beauty, but it is so much harder, and thus more rewarding to go beyond that. People are increasingly growing tired of traditional views of beautiful and traditional aesthetic appearances because they crave novelty in the ways we view the world and we view art. Is this beautiful? Is this beautiful? Maybe. Maybe. If it sticks around long enough, maybe.
这一根全球最贵的香蕉，不仅仅是以象征性的行为，与此同时，更是对当代艺术和文化创新的致敬。今天的现场，我们也非常荣幸能够与各位嘉宾和媒体朋友们共同见证这个充满创意与象征意义的美好瞬间。